Kia ora and welcome to today's live stream where we're going to be going over creating my cats in Pathfinder. Sounds a bit simple and basic, but the thing I love about Pathfinder is you can create 3 totally different cats and they're completely different characters. And I mean, we've just hit a new lockdown, so why not get creative and pass the time by playing with my cats. So today, to begin, we are doing Jub Jub. Now, Jub Jub has a bit of a storied history. He became my cat quite a few years ago as a tiny, cute little kitten. Sort of turned up, a friend brought him over and dumped him on me. And I'm happy, I don't mind whatsoever. He was cute, he was cuddly, but things started going. He sort of started exploring places he shouldn't. He was just really in your face. I mean, he's a cute cat, very cute cat. He'd bring me presents to show his appreciation. He loved living in a whole heap of places he really shouldn't be. And he's a derp. I mean, honestly, everyone who knows him, he is the ultimate derpy cat. I mean, look at that look. That is a derpy cat. But when he was 3, he got hit by a car. And as you can see, we'll get the mouse there, he actually shattered the bone right off from his hip. You can quite clearly see over there, you have, basically this, is that the femur? That is the femur, tibia, femur. So effectively, he shorn that bone there completely off. That is his hip joint. And I was worried he was going to lose his leg. But some very smart doctor, or vet actually, decided to come along and say, well, what we can do is we'll take this particular bone, we'll sand it all nice and smooth, we'll remove the hip joint from inside the hip socket, fill it full of putty, smooth it off. We're then going to tear his muscles around, stuff the bone in, make it go bruised so it swells up, and when it comes back down, he is going to have a perfectly good leg. And that's what the doctor done. And before you know it, he had the stitches, had the surgery. He was just, that is major surgery. I also, as you can see, I had his ears tattooed because the doctor warns with such bright nose and ears, he's going to get skin cancer at some stage. I didn't want that for him, so I had him tattoo UV light into that. And that was the Jub Jub. He was now the feisty cat that everybody knew, tormenting the neighborhood. He ended up losing his teeth. That there is just after his surgery. You can see that tooth came out a bit and cut into there. He lost his upper canine there. You can see a little bit of scarring over that one. You can see he got into a fight there. He got into a bit of a fight. There's a bit of blood around his nose there. That there is a couple of missing teeth. He's missing those 2. He should have 2 more teeth there. That you can see has been filed flat. He's got another cut over there, another cut over there. That one, I'm pretty positive he got hit by a dog. He wasn't very happy. That required a lot of surgery, and he had a shaved forehead for a little bit. And he was the cat. However, March 13th, 2020, 2 days before New Zealand hit lockdown last year, I decided to drive from Napier, packed up all my gear, and moved all the way to, Waipukurau. This is the picture of my parents' car, just been loaded up, a couple of my streaming, that's my streaming box there. And that's the last picture I had of him. He vanished. He just completely and utterly vanished. And we locked him in the room and he went missing. And then 400 days later, he returned. 400 days he came back. And he was the exact same cat. He's in fact sitting there watching me right now, wondering why I'm talking to him so much. But yeah, it took him 400 days and he finally turned up. And since then, he has pretty much made himself at home. You can still see the occasional fight he gets into, but he is absolutely loving just being a house cat now. Although every now and then, he is still a feisty boy. I mean, look at that face. That's such a cute and happy face. Funnily enough, a few days ago, we got up in the morning because we heard a massive cat fight. We found enough fur to make a ginormous cat at our back door. And as I was patting him, I felt a lump in his back. So I dug around. I pulled out a full claw from his back, as in the roots, everything. Some cat had clawed him and it got stuck into his back. And you know what? He didn't care. He absolutely did not care at all. And that is the Jub. So let's go and actually look at creating him. What we're going to do is we're going to go to this nice piece of software here called the Wanderer's Guide. I'm just going to tab across. There we go. We're going to be using the Wanderer's Guide. It is in beta, really good for creating Pathfinder 2 characters. So we're going to create a new character. Give it a sec to load. Okay, unnamed character. He is going to be Jub. This is instead of me having all the books open and filling out the character sheet the way we used to do it. We're just going to go with this way. Now, I always like to have all the Lost Omen books there. And I'm taking Free Archetype and Ancestral Paragon from the Game Master's Guide. Ancestral Paragon gives you 2 Ancestral Feats at level 1, and then an Ancestral Feat every 2nd level instead of every 5th level. And Free Archetype kicks in at level 2. If we level them up, that'll be viable then. So, what are we going to do for Jub? Well, obviously, he is going to be, waiting for this to load, here's a catfolk. Okay, 100% catfolk. This gives us 8 hit points. We know Common and Armorin as the languages, plus more depending on our intelligence. His size will be medium. He can move 25 feet. He gets low light vision, and he gets land on your feet. The boosts are dexterity and charisma. We are going to choose strength for that, and flaws is wisdom. Yeah, I kind of can see that he's not exactly that wise. So, for our particular heritage, I'm going to give him 9 lives catfolk. What this does is your family has always seemed to bounce back from disaster, not through physical hardness or specialized skills, but from sheer luck. Other catfolk whisper that you have 9 lives. If you are reduced to 0 hit points by a critical hit on an attack roll, you become dying 1 instead of dying 2. The amount of times he has been attacked or hit, or I've thought he's about to die, and he just bounces back. I remember, when was it, 2017, the Xbox cast, we done a really cool live stream where we played the Jackbox games and a bit of Rock Band. And halfway through, he turned up. He had been, I don't know if he had been hit, but he was covered in blood and he was soaking wet. He was like a drowned rat. The next day, nothing. So definitely 9 lives catfolk. The ancestral feat we are going to choose, I am going to be choosing Cat's Luck. So with that, you instinctively twist away from danger. You can re-roll the triggering save and throw and use the better one. This is a once per day. It is a free action, and the trigger for it is you fail a reflex saving throw. So we are going to be selecting that one there, Cat's Luck. And the second one we are going to be doing is Catfolk Lore. So growing up among catfolk has taught you the traditional values of freedom and travel. Well, that kind of suits him. He just went out traveling. He decided he would be free, and for 400 days he was free. So that kind of fits that one there. Plus it gives us training in acrobatics and survival, which is also good. The amount of times I've seen him dodge out of something, and he survived 400 days. You can't see it. I actually have my lower third there. If I deactivate it, you can see proficiency change. You become trained in survival. Right, I'll put the lower third on because extra advertising. Next step is going to be our background. Now for this one we are going to go for a rare one found in the APG, Advanced Player's Guide. Yep, APG. This is going to be the Returned. So we go down there. Now, you died and miraculously returned with the knowledge of realms beyond death and a stronger link to life. Okay, he didn't quite die, but I remember a few days before he turned up, I was just reminiscing on Jub Jub and how I missed him, and I actually said to my wife, I miss that cat. I really hope that he's alive and happy somewhere, or that if he did die, it was quick and painless and he wasn't sad. Well, he was alive and happy somewhere. He was very, very happy. He's actually got a name throughout the town that we live in called Fat Cat, because he just gets all the food. So, choose an ability. We are not going to choose Wisdom. Don't really think he's wise enough for that. We're going to choose Constitution. And our second one we're going for is Strength. We want to put Strength up. And now we have the additional, we get the Die Hard feat. Die Hard. It takes more to kill you than most. You die from the dying condition at dying 5 rather than dying 4. So we've got a boost on our 9 lives. If a critical hit, it usually would put you up by 2 hits for dying. Well, it now only puts us up for 1, and we get an extra saving throw for dying. So we are going to get that, and the additional lore feat for Boneyard lore. So I'm going to copy that, and Boneyard lore. And now, as you can imagine, he has another name amongst his ones of Jub Jub, Jubby Boy, and Fat Cat. It is Battle Axe. You've seen all his wounds, and he keeps bouncing back. I'm going to call him a Barbarian. That, I think, really suits him. So, with that, key ability is Strength, hit points is 12, Perception is Expert. That's going to be good. That's going to give us 5 Perception, minus the 1 for our low Wisdom. We're trained in Athletics, I believe. No, it was Acrobatics we were trained in for the catfolk. So now we have a training in Athletics on top of that, and 3 plus Intelligence. We have a class DC of Trained. Saving throws are Expert in Fortitude and Will, with Trained in Reflex. And we have Simple, Martial, and Unarmed attacks, as well as Light and Medium armor. So our Instinct. Well, what is an Instinct? First we have to look at the Rage action. So when we go into Rage, we deal 2 additional damage with melee weapons and unarmed attack. It is halved if it is an agile weapon. We take a -1 penalty to armor class, and we can't use concentration traits. That's all cool. Our Instinct changes the way the Rage works. So for this, we're definitely going Animal, and we are going to be going with the Cat Instinct. So when we go into Rage, we get to polymorph into some sort of cat. He's already a cat, but you know, we get to polymorph. With that, we're going to get a claws attack of 1d6, which will be agile and unarmed. This 1d6 attack is going to be only a +1 for Rage. However, our jaws attack is 1d10, and that is piercing, and that will get a +2 for Rage. I'm sort of hesitant. As you've seen his photos, he doesn't have good teeth, but I've also been bitten by him fairly regularly. Sometimes if I don't get up in time to feed him, he will jump on the bed and just bite me. His teeth still hurt. Not as much as his claws, but they still hurt. So, Animal is Cat. Now we get our ability boosts. With this, I'm going to choose Strength to put it up to 18. We are going to choose Constitution just to give us that extra oomph into our Constitution. I am going to choose Dexterity, mainly just for that extra armor, and Dexterity helps especially with reflex saves. And our final one is going to be Charisma, because I want him to be sort of an intimidating character. Charisma will be helping with that. Oh, and I've just noticed the lower thirds won't do that, and I can't load down any further. Okay, lower thirds off from now on. So I put Cat. Oh no, Cat would have worked. And Rage, information for Rage is there. Right, Barbarian Feet. we are going to choose for this one here, Raging Intimidation. So with that, your fury fills your foes with fear. While you are raging, you demoralize and scare to death actions. Get the rage trait. This means while raging we can use them, allowing you to use them while raging. That's just what I said. As soon as you meet the prerequisites for the skill feats Intimidate and Glare and Scare to Death, you gain them. So we'll get Intimidate and Glare at level 1, and Scared to Death I believe is a level 15. Yep, level 15. And Intimidate and Gear, all we need is Trained in Intimidation. We're going to be Trained in Intimidation. So that is good. Let us select that. And now we go to Finalize. So we can see we have an 18 Strength giving us +4, 2 Dexterity, 2 Constitution, 2 Charisma, 0 Intelligence, and -1 to our Wisdom. Our skills, we are going to be choosing Intimidation, of course. We already have Acrobatics and Athletics. I'm sort of, yeah, what one should we go for? I think we might go for Stealth. And finally, Society. Society to basically show his knowledge on different regions and basically how to manipulate and survive. Stealth because all cats should get stealth, and Intimidation for his Intimidation Glare. So we can now look at his character sheet. Takes a little bit to load, but here we go. We can see we have a +5 in Acrobatics, which is trained, a +7 in Athletics. We're trained in Intimidation at a +5. We have a +3 in Society, a +5 in Stealth, a +2 in Survival, a +3 in Catfolk Lore, and a +3 in Boneyard Lore. At the moment our AC is 15 because we are wearing nothing, so let's add an item. We want to add some armor. Now we're trained in medium armor, so let's go for some medium stuff. You can go for chainmail, but I want something along the lines of a Dex 2. So with that, let's have a look at scale mail. This gives us an armor class bonus of +3. We can use our 2 Dex for our armor class. It requires a strength 14, that's no issue whatsoever, so we are going to be getting that. Let's buy that. Remember, you only have 150 silver to begin with, so with that, put it on, and we can see our armor class is now a whole 18. Weapons, we don't actually need to buy weapons because we're going to add some unarmed attacks. The first one is going to be Raging Claws. Now, Raging Claws was a D6. It had the Agile. I don't believe it had Finesse, so we'll take that off. It was non-lethal. It didn't actually say it had non-lethal. It said it was in the Brawling group. But we'll take that off. And Unarmed. The only tags it said it had was Agile and Unarmed. It is also a slashing weapon. So, what are we going to call Raging Claws? What else would we call it? Whoop, let's not hit a space there. Murder Mittens. And we will add that. Now we can see our Raging Claw, we have a +7 on it, then a +3, then a -1. That's our multiple attack penalty. And it does 1d6 +4. We actually want to customize that. Its attack bonus is sitting, not attack bonus. Damage bonus is at a +1. So 1d6 +5. Next attack we're going to add is the Raging Teeth. It was Jaws, wasn't it? Now this one is a 1d12. It was piercing damage. Its attack bonus, because we'll be using it in range, rage will be 2, because it doesn't have the Agile or the Finesse or the non-lethal. It is only unarmed. And what are we going to call this? Must bite. Ooh, must bite harder. And we can add that. So we have a Raging Jaws attack. It is the same, +7, +2, +3. That's not actually the same. Raging, because it was agile, you only take a -4 penalty for your multiple attack. And Raging Jaws is a full -5 penalty, but 1d8 plus 6. And that's pretty much all we need. Death Stare. What is Death Stare there, Mr. Lee? We can see in here, if we go to details, we can see our feats: Raging, Intimidating, Cat's Luck, Cat's Lore, Additional Lore, Rage, and Die Hard. Took me a little bit of time, but I worked out we do actually have, if I go Rage and Intimidation, Intimidating Glare is actually hidden somewhere in there. No, it's not hidden somewhere in there. You see, sometimes it adds it in, sometimes it doesn't. Last time it was sitting into this one. Maybe if we go and we click on Rage, it doesn't. Okay, not to worry. Sometimes Intimidating Glare comes into there, but we know we have Raging Intimidation and we have the Intimidating Glare. That's all good. This gives us all our actions we can use, so we can Demoralize, which now should have the Rage trait. It does not. This software is still in beta, so that's all good. We can have a look at our weapons, our inventory, all that sort of stuff. That is basically Jub, 18 armor class. When he goes into Rage, he is going to be able to bite or claw. And yeah, a very happy little cat. 22 hit points, that's actually not too bad. That plus 3 temporary hit points is because we raged. So you get, when you rage, you, as you can see, boom, it pops up there. Rage will give you a extra hit points depending on your level plus your constitution. So constitution of 2, level of 1, we get 3 temporary hit points, giving us 25 at level 1. That's actually pretty cool. Alright, let's pop out of Jub, and we have finished our Jubby. Now, if you want to continue with his particular build, I would recommend the stuff like your free archetype is going to be a celebrity. I would recommend hammering down on the whole intimidation type rage, and go for maybe leaping barb, all that sort of stuff. There'll be quite a few cool feats which will let you leap into combat. When you rage, you do an automatic intimidation. It'll be an AoE one instead of focusing on one target. Go with that sort of stuff, and you have Jub the Barbarian. Our next cat we are doing today is my little precious princess, Soxus. So Soxus, she wasn't originally my cat. The story behind her is a couple of years ago, the people who had the house out the back of mine, they had a queen that they refused to fix. Very, very not good. Every few months, this queen had a litter of kittens. The kittens would start coming into my house. I would knock on their door and say, hey, can you do something about the kittens? The next day, the kittens would vanish. I don't want to know what they were doing with those kittens. I kind of feel a bit stink about that. Yep, back in 2018, the start of 2018, it happened again, and I knocked on their door and said, can you please do something about the kittens? And they said, it's not our problem, we're moving out. The very next day, they moved out. They left the kittens, and yeah, here was Soxy. She came into our house, she would eat our food. It took me a couple of months, well, not a couple of months, a couple of weeks to get her used to us, so at this stage she's 3 months old. I finally managed to get her calm enough to come and be picked up, and the first thing I done is put her in a cage and took her to the vet. Mainly I wanted her to get a good fix, get a couple of jabs, make sure she's vaccinated, make sure she's healthy, and the initial thing was we were going to rehome her. I got her microchipped, all that sort of stuff, because I wanted her to be safe, and I wanted to just rehome her and give her a good life. Well, the vet said, you do realise she's just had a kitten, right? Or just had kittens. I didn't know that. I took her home. She'd been away from her kittens for a couple of hours, and as you know, kittens, they can't regulate their heat, so I was pretty worried about that. I didn't know what had happened to the kittens. Well, let her out of her cage. She took off. 10 minutes later, she came back with Bean. She basically dumped Bean onto my lap and went off and had a drink. And that there is a couple of hours later where she is feeding Bean. And she was a good mother. She was little. You can see over there the peg. Well, that's a 1 inch, maybe a 2 inch peg. That is the size of Bean. Look at how small Bean was. She was such a little girl. And Soxus, we called her Bean because of her little toes. They were tiny little cute beans. Soxus was just so small. So we basically let her keep her kitten. And yeah, we now had 2 kittens in the house. One of them newborn. And look at that. Look at how cute that is. I mean, she is such a proud little queen. And yes, she taught her cat how to fight. Bean, as you can see, started growing older and bigger and still needed Mummy to help her a bit, but still really needed Mummy to play with her. But isn't that cute? And yeah, she did get into a few fights, nowhere near as much as Jub Jub. That was being bitten by someone, we don't know who. But she didn't cost me too much at the vets. And look at that. That's the size Bean was. She was actually bigger than her mother when we found a home for Bean. But she was so, so cute. And Soxus became pretty much the queen of the family. Until that fateful day where, that's the last photo we have of the 2 of them on me, Jub Jub vanished. And Soxus was all alone. But she didn't seem to mind it too much. She still absolutely loved being the queen of the house until we got her a new little brother in the form of Dash. Oh, look at how cute she is. And look at Dash. They just love each other. Absolutely love each other. They are best friends. And then Jub Jub came back and Jubby became a part of the family again. And now Soxus and Jub Jub pretty much don't give me an ounce of time. That's me trying to write a script for a video. And that's Jub Jub between my legs and Soxus on me. And you can see just how cute she is, how much smoochier she has become. She is the ultimate queen of the house. So that is Soxus, or at least that is the story behind the Soxy Girls. So let us create her as well. Does take a bit of time, but once you've done it once, it loads up pretty quick. Soxis for Soxus. Oh, do I have caps on? Oh, I do have caps on. My bad. We named her Soxus because we just wanted a placeholder name while we took her to the vet because she had white feet and it kind of stuck. As per usual, free archetype, ancestral paragon, and all of the Lost Omen books. I don't play with the Adventure Path books unless we're playing the Adventure Path. Okay, load this up. Loading. Once again, she is a catfolk. However, unlike Jub Jub, we're going to choose strength as well. The heritage we're going to go, she is not in fact a 9 lives catfolk like we had with Jubby. We are going to get her a sharp-eared catfolk. So this gives her a +2 circumstance bonus to locate undetected creatures that you can hear within 30 feet with a seek action. It also gives us, she can point them out. This kind of suits her. She's still a little skitterish from her time as a stray. Any noise, she will just perk her ears, bounce, look around, and tell us exactly where the noise is coming from. Her ancestral feat, we're going with well-met traveller. You have seen people from so many walks of life in your travels that you naturally adopt a pleasant and affable demeanour when meeting others. You're trained in diplomacy. If you would automatically be trained, blah blah blah, you get it. And you get the Hobnobber skill feat. So Hobnobber, Basically, when we gather information exploration, it takes us half as long as normal. So we can gather more information super quick. Oh, let me just take off the lower third. I don't have a button pre-programmed for that, unfortunately. So we're going to select that one. And the second ancestral feat is Catnap. I know a lot of people don't like it. You spend 10 minutes having a short rest, and you gain temporary hit points equal to your level that only last 10 minutes. Most people are like, why can't that have lasted an hour to be useful? But it kind of suits her. She's always sleeping, and we need it for focused Catnap, which is just going to help her refocus with her particular class. So let's get Catnap. Okay, now for our background. And you've heard me call her... Oh, sorry. You've heard me call her queen and princess and blah blah blah. So we are definitely going to have her as a noble. Okay, we can choose genealogy or heraldry lore. We're going to choose not genealogy because we don't know what her genealogy is, but she certainly knows how to, in fact, woo a court, that sort of stuff. So we're going to go with heraldry lore. She also gets the courtly graces effect. This is the perk. And for our abilities, we are going to be choosing definitely charisma, and I'm going to go for dexterity. Right, our class. So what sort of class is super nimble, super light on their feet, and a really good hunter? That would be the monk. Our key ability, I'm going to choose dexterity for that. We get 10 hit points, trained in perception, 4 skills plus our intelligence. It sounds like it's more than the barbarian, but you don't get an automatic training, so it's actually the same amount, not more than the barbarian. You are expert in every throw. You are trained in your class DC, trained in unarmed and simple weapons, and expert in unarmed defense. We get a flurry of blow. I'm going to choose our key spells as divine because she's pretty much divine in her own right. And we get powerful fist. You know how to wield your fists as deadly weapons. The damage dice for you increases to 1d6 instead of 1d4. Plus, we don't take a -2 circumstance penalty when making lethal attacks with non-lethal weapons. Okay, ability. I'm going to hammer down on the dexterity for this one. I am going to choose a bit more strength just to give a bonus to damage. We are going to go with some intelligence because she's a smart little cookie, our Soxus. And we are going to go with a little bit of more charisma just for her persuasion and her diplomacy abilities. And our monk feat at level 1, I am going to choose, of course, the stance, tiger stance. So what this is if we are unarmored, we get to enter the tiger stance, which is a form of martial arts. With that, we got 1d8 slashing damage for our attacks. This is a tiger's claw attack. Well, she has murder mittens in her own right. It has the agile, finesse, non-lethal, which we can ignore, and unarmed traits. Plus, on a critical success with your tiger's claw, if you deal damage, it takes 1d4 persistent bleed damage. And as long as our step is 20 feet, cats are pretty agile and fast, so it will be. While in tiger stance, we can step 10 feet. 10 feet is pretty far for a step. Okay, cancel that. Select tiger's stance. The very final part we want to do is we get a bunch of skills here to choose from. Now we are getting more because I have a +1 on intelligence. As we can see, our strength is 2, our dexterity is 4, charisma 3. So with that, I'm going to choose acrobatics to take advantage of our dexterity. This is going to let us leap up and down quite a bit. We already have land on your feet, so we don't take fall damage, or we half our fall damage exactly. But acrobatics is definitely going to be very helpful. We already have diplomacy. We are going to take a little bit of, no, we're going athletics. I'm reading Jub's sheet. We're going to take athletics. We're going to take performance as our second charisma-based trait. And of course, stealth and survival. And our additional language, it doesn't really matter what additional language we're going to go for, but I'm going to take Sylvan because she can talk to the animals. Sylvan is sort of, you know, the Fae language. Okay, now we can have a look at her sheet. It'll take a sec to load. Now with no armor, because we are unarmed and we have expert, we actually have a 19 armor class. This is higher than an armored Jub. Hit points is 18. Jub could get up to 25 hit points as a barbarian. Sadly, Soxus is only this. Our perception, you see a little star up there, you click it and you can see we have an extra bonus on hearing and low light vision. Okay, items. We don't actually need any items for her. What we're going to do, we have our powerful fist. We are going to get our tiger's claw. Now with that, that was a 1d8, and that was it slashing or was it perception? It was slashing. It had agile, finesse, non-lethal, and unarmed. No extra attack bonus, none of that. So we click on that and we can see it is sitting at a +7, the same as Jub. However, if we open it, it is +7, +3, -1 because they are agile. So Jub's claws were 1d6. His bite was 1d10. Soxus is 1d8 +2. Jub can do more damage with his bite especially, but if he bites he gets a +2 and a -3. So Soxus slightly better, will not get hit as much, can't have as much damage, and Tiger's Claw. Don't forget this one here I can actually customize. Material, if we put the description 1d4 persistent bleed on crit. It would be nice if there was an actual thing where you could write stuff, but cool. So that is our Soxy. I'm quite happy. I mean, look at these save and throws, 5, 9 and 4. If we were to load up Jubs, you will see not a 5, a 9 and a 4. We can quickly load up Jubby. It'll take a sec. Here we go, 7, 5 and 4. Okay, Jubby was pretty good as well. But hit points, armor class, you know, two totally different characters. Anyway, let's jump back out of that and let us go and have a look at our third cat we are doing. Oh yes, upgrades for Soxus. Without a high wisdom, I would not recommend a huge amount of focus spells. There are a few focus spells that don't rely on wisdom. Get those, that's why we took the Catnap, but most of her attacks will be done in different combat stances. And as for her archetype feats, I would highly recommend going along the lines of Celebrity. Or, nope, sorry, Jub was Celebrity. Go with a Dandy for her. She's a dandy. Okay, the next cat we have is Dash. I have no idea why the fade didn't work, but Dash. So just before, no, not just before, just after Jub vanished, we were offered to adopt this little kitten called Dash. He belonged to a family's farm, but they had some cats that kind of, you know, squeezed him a bit too much, and he got used to kids, he got used to farm life. We were just worried that he was not going to survive. So he looks very much like like Soxus, however he has a black nose. And let's have a look at the two of them. You can see this one here is Soxy. We often keep a jeweled collar on her, but she has a lot of red around the ears and around the back. Dash isn't as red, he's more monochromatic. And you can see there, looking at their face, you can see Soxy, nice big bright coloured nose, Dash a very dark nose. Very, very low colours around there. Soxy has, you know, especially belly, back of the ears, all that sort of stuff. However, Dash in his own right was a bit of a scrapper. And that there is, you can see a nice tube there. He got a massive infection which needed to be drained. He's got it more than once, unfortunately. This is as it was starting to heal, him and Soxy sleeping together. And then this is after. Now, the previous one, you can see the fur starting to grow back a bit. Well, we kind of actually had to reshave it because he got it infected again, this stupid boy. And you might be able to see a different colouring in his eyes. Well, that's because he got his eyes clawed, and I needed to put a daily injection into his eyes, which means one colour is slightly different. And this here is, you can see it a bit more there. There's a little bit more red in that eye compared to that one. And boy, does he love his sister. He also loves bringing us food. Yes, that is 3 birds you can see there. He managed to get 3 birds out of the nest, those poor little birds. And we often, like Soxus will have a jeweled little collar. We often have to put a bell on him because every day he brings us a bird. Every single day it is another pile of feathers in our sitting room. And look at, actually, that's the Soxy. I put the wrong photo in. That's the 2 of them together, all nice and happy. And Jubby with his bell, so he cannot actually catch a bird. However, he is also very notoriously good at having it removed. And that is him next to Zacky, all happily asleep. He gets on so much better than Soxy with the boys because he grew up in a farm. And he still loves his sister. I don't know what it is, but I mean, look, that's him cleaning his sister. That's not really normal. They are not actual siblings, but yeah, I don't know what it is. I've never seen 2 cats quite like this. He does not have the same relationship as Jub does, but yeah, okay. So that is Dash Boy. Let us jump and let's create him. We'll call him Dash. It's not the name we named him, it is what he was given when we adopted him. Do the usual levels, variant abilities and all that stuff. Okay, Ancestry, as you can imagine, he is a cat. No shocker there. Choose the ability. We are going to be knuckling back down on strength again. He already has dexterity and charisma. Our heritage for this particular one, we are going to go with a hunting catfolk. So with a hunting catfolk, we get the imprecise sense of smell, and we also get a +2 circumstance bonus to track an object that we have smelt before. He is a hunter, a really good hunter, so that suits him quite well. We are then going to give him the ancestral feat of catfolk weapon familiarity. So this one just gives us the ability to use hatchets, karmas, curais, scimitars, sickles, as well as martial catfolk weapons, which I believe there are a few catfolk. Cat claws and the cat whip, I believe, are the 2 catfolk weapons. Or dart and slashes, yeah, cat whip. We're going to choose that one. You can see a nice big list of proficiency changes, and the other ancestral feat we're going for is he is going to have saber teeth. So with that, we just get an automatic 1d6 piercing damage with his bite. Okay, our background. As I said, he came from a farm, so let us choose farmhand. This is going to give us either Constitution or Wisdom. I'm actually going to choose Wisdom for him here. And our last one is Dexterity. He also gains the Assurance feat with Athletics. So we want to keep a track of that. Let's put Athletics into there. Ooh. In our class, what is the best actual hunter? We want someone who can lock onto a target and hunt them, tracking, smelling, all that sort of stuff. Of course, that is the ranger. So with that, our key ability is going to be Dexterity, because we are going to be using finesse weapons. Hit points is 10, Perception Expert. Now, this is why we have put some Wisdom in. We want to basically be able to have him track and hunt that requires wisdom, and cats are bad at it. He's going to be trained in nature, survival, and 4 more plus his intelligence. We're going to be expert in fortitude and reflex, trained in will, as well as simple, martial, and unarmed attacks, and light and medium armor. So this we don't have to write anything in. This is for the final character sheet. But our Hunter's Edge, we are going to do Flurry. What this does is once we have locked onto a target, instead of the usual -5 that says there for our second attack, it's a -3 or a -2 if we have an agile weapon. Well, unarmed is agile. And then our third attack will be a -6 instead of the usual -10 or a -4 with an agile weapon. We aren't really going to be using much warden spells, so we can ignore that part. Okay. Our abilities here, I'm going to be choosing for this particular one a bit more strength for the damage, a little bit more dexterity, let's go for some more wisdom for our perceptions, and we're going to go for intelligence. We're not hammering down on the charisma as we were before, but we do need the wisdom. And our ranger feat for this particular one here, I'm going to choose gravity weapon. So what this is it is a spell. It requires a focus point. So we were actually going to be using focus points, sorry. So we cast this particular spell. It takes 1 action to cast. The duration is 1 minute, which we don't need to concentrate. And we build up a gravitational force and funnel it into our blows, leading to more powerful attacks with blade and bow alike. On your first weapon strike of each round, you gain a status bonus to damage equal to twice the number of damage dice. At level 1, this is going to be pretty much 1 extra point of damage for our first attack per round. But as we start upgrading our weapons with multiple damage dice, this could be a +4 extra bonus for free for 1 minute. So let us get gravity weapon. Okay, the last one we do is go to finalize, and we can choose our abilities. I'm going to choose some more acrobatics because every cat should. I'm going to choose medicine. He's been at the vet slightly more than Jub Jub, cost us an absolute fortune. He really should have learned something about medicine by now. We are going to choose some society and some stealth, and he's really good at stealing food, so let's go for a bit of thievery. My throat's hurting. And as we can see, we have a +1 wisdom. We've put 2 points into it, but it started at a -1, so that's why it's at a +1. +1 charisma, +1 intelligence, 4 dexterity, and 2 strength. And we're also going to choose Sylvan as our extra language. Alright, let's have a look at this character sheet. Now we can see we have 17 armor class because of our dexterity, 18 hit points, and we have 1 nice warden spell that we can cast, but no weapons, no items. So let's give us some items. General will be a bit of armor. We want some light armor, really good for hunting. We want something to take advantage of our dexterity. For that, I'm actually going to choose plain, boring leather. Takes advantage of our dex cap of +4, but it gives us 1 extra. So let us buy that, and that will give us an armor class when we wear it of 18. The next thing we need is 2 weapons. So let's do a search for cat. And weapons. No, it must be claw. There it is, a claw blade and a whip claw. So these are the 2 catfolk weapons that I was talking about. This one here is a finesse reach weapon. So this is going to be a sort of whip for hunting people. I'm going to buy you. It was fairly expensive, but that's alright. And we're going to give ourselves a claw blade. Very, very, very handy. Look at that, agile, finesse. We can use our dexterity to hit. It'll take advantage of our flurry. If we buy this, we go to our weapons, and we can see the whip claw is our usual, a +7, a +4, and a +1. That's actually better than most people. However, we go to the claw blade. Our first attack is at +7, second attack +5, third attack +3. That is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. For an attack we can just make, I know it's only a 1d4, but you consider the probability of Jub hitting with his 1d10 versus the probability of Dash hitting with his 1d4 +2. Dash is going to be equaling a lot more hits and doing a lot more damage. Well, okay, so not a lot more damage, but he's going to be able to hit quite a lot. It is very, very handy. Can I hunt? No, we only have Panache and that, and I didn't put a dice roller in, so that is our cats. We can see, very nice, a +6 to perception. The other two did not have the same thing. And imprecise sense of 30 feet, so we can smell it 30 feet away. We can see farming lore of +4, thievery of +7, survival. We get a +2 circumstance bonus to track a creature if we've smelt it before, and a +4 on survival, 7 on stealth, 4 on society, 4 on nature and medicine, and a 5 on athletics, 7 in acrobatics. So that is our cats. You can see, with Pathfinder, even though we are just taking the simple catfolk, which in D&D terms would be tabaxi, all 3 cats are completely different even before you choose their class. It's just something that I absolutely love about Pathfinder, and yeah, makes the game so much more enjoyable. So that is today's done. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and whoop, there we go. Yeah, thank you guys all for watching. It has been quite a fun stream to do. Now that we're into a lockdown, I'll actually start getting a few more of these, out. I'll probably do a character build a week. So if you guys want to see what other builds you can do, just give me a message, leave a comment, all that sort of stuff. Tell me what you want built, and I'll build them for you. But thank you for watching this, and have a good day.